Today we're talking about Into the Dark. Let's find out if it's worth the hype or if you need to read this book to get the full High Republic picture. If you love your Star Wars and your rocks, please stay tuned for my full and honest review. Where should I start reading? What is canon versus legends? When does the story begin? The answers to these questions is right here on Star Wars Timeline. Welcome back to Star Wars Timeline. My name is Ben, and I do reviews of comic books and books set in both legends and canon timelines. Now, if you're new to Star Wars or want to find out about cool lore or a character, feel free to subscribe and come back for more. I have weekly videos, and if you have a particular book in mind that you'd like me to review, I'll be happy to take your request. Now, as I mentioned, today we're talking about The High Republic Into the Dark, written by Claudia Gray with artwork by Giorgio Baroni. It's released in February 2nd of 2021, and it's part of the High Republic publishing campaign. The story in this book takes place 232 years before Battle of Yavin or before Episode 4. And for those of you who read the previous novel, High Republic, The Light of the Jedi, this story takes place concurrently with the other one. They practically take place at the same time and even have some of the events that cross over. Spoiler alert, if you don't want to hear anything about the story, please move forward to the next section of the video, which I timestamp, where I actually give you my review. I have my notes in front of me, so I could give you a quicker gist of the storyline and just run through it quickly and get to the review. So we're opening up on Coruscant with a rousing action sequence where a Jedi Master, Jorah Mali, and her young Padawan, Reath Silas, are capturing pirates. After which, Jorah Mali, the Jedi Master, is supposed to travel to Starlight Beacon, which is a huge new project. It's supposed to be a station and a temple for the Jedi, and really a connecting hub which serves as an anchor point between the center of the galaxy and the Outer Rim worlds. So Reath follows her up weeks later. He teams up with a group of other Jedi. He has Des Raydon, which is a former apprentice of Jorah Mali, but no longer. He's now a young and able Jedi Knight. You have a scholar, Master Cormac Thetis, who's out there. He wants to also travel out into the Outer Rim and explore and be a scholar and study different cultures. Then you have the Umbran Wayseeker, Orla Jarani. Now, Wayseeker is something different and new in this book. It's a type of Jedi who doesn't quite adhere to the Jedi core or dogmas and actually want to go their own separate ways and speak with the Force, commune with the Force, and do good for the Jedi Order in their own and unique way. The companions are setting up to travel to the frontier aboard a Bind Guild ship called the Vessel, with very uncanny and eccentric crew. You got a 16-year-old co-pilot and a mechanic called Affie Hollow. You have eccentric Captain Leox Gyasi, which is half scoundrel, half, pilot, kind of like Han Solo type of character. And you have the strangest navigator you have possibly read in the book. His name is Geode, or Geode, whatever people pronounce his name. Yes, that's that character, The Rock, and I promise we'll get to him later. Now the vessel is on its way and enters hyperspace lane to travel to the Outer Rim, but it's actually interrupted by a turbulent hyperspace anomaly. It's the debris from a broken up ship called the Legacy Run, and this is the connection with the previous High Republic novel, Light of the Jedi. You don't necessarily need to read it, but just know that there is a connection between those two, this particular event. So the vessel is grazed, the ship is forced to exit hyperspace, and the news arrives via their intercom communication through Coruscant saying that there is a galaxy-wide shutdown and that the hyperspace routes are dangerous to travel through at the moment. Here, the vessel and its passengers are actually stuck in a completely uncharted, unknown territory in the galaxy. So the vessel follows a mysterious set of coordinates which are actually pre-programmed in its nav computer, which the crew is oblivious how they actually got there in the first place. They make another quick jump to a new location, and they pick a cluster of survivor ships. A lot of those are cargo haulers, passenger transports, and actually have a lot of people on board. The crew manages to contact a young woman called Nan from another ship, and the scan reveals that there is also some kind of strange space station in this region. The Jedi Mountain Rescue, they take all the survivors from all of those ships and they bring them aboard this station to hide from the deadly solar flares which the nearby sun emits, and they all need to escape and hide in that station. Now the crew of the vessel, all the Jedi members, and all the survivors from other ships find themselves exploring an ancient structure overgrown with plants. It seems to be ancient and abandoned, and the Jedi sense a presence of the dark side here, while survivors of all the ships form into different gangs, and each one is on the mission to loot the station for its vital resources, each one thinking about themselves first. Struggling to maintain control, the Jedi find ancient statues of gods, some sort of relics. They have no idea what those are, connected to the dark side. Orla and Comac, the two Jedi masters, share a vision of approaching darkness. All this time, as the plot continues, we're cut back to the past, where younger Comac and his friend Orla, they share a common past, along with their masters, are on a mission to rescue two hostage leaders of two opposing planets, abducted by the Hutts to actually destabilize that particular system. Meanwhile, back on the station, the Jedi Knights are struggling with the pull of the dark side, which is getting worse by the minute. They try to unlock the secrets of the ancient builders and the relics contained there, while exploring the deeper sections of the section. In that moment, the young and promising Jedi Knight, Raiden, gets into an accident. He's locked out, there's a huge electric discharge, and he's presumed dead. The crew members of the vessel, young mechanic Affy and her pilot Leox, are also not sitting idly by. They're exploring the station, and they actually discover some cryptic messages which are implicating her guild's leader and adopted mother, Scover Bine, in criminal activity, indenturing guild members into unwilling servitude. By this time, the station is contacted by Coruscant, and they let everybody know that the hyperspace routes are open for travel again. They're safe, and the survivors and the Jedi actually return home to Coruscant. Now, they also bring along the statue relics of some ancient gods back to Coruscant. And after inspecting them, the Jedi Order feels that something is terribly wrong, and they realize that the Jedi must bring the relics back to the station, because they're not actually emitting the dark force. They're not the source of it, but they actually form some sort of a barrier that protected something on that station from the dark side. Upon their return to the station, Reath, the two Jedi Masters, and the crew members of the vessel encounter Nihil, the marauders and the pirates of the unknown regions of space, which are now controlling the station. Nan, the girl that was contacted before, and young Padawan Reath had some kind of a friendship and a connection to, is revealed to be a Nihil member. And removing the ancient relics proved to be unlocking some sort of a dark side evil, which is revealed to be Drengir, a new kind of plant-based sentient organism infesting the station, who are the source of the dark side. Now we're getting to the climatic part, where a battle ensues between the Jedi, the Nihil, and eventually Drengir are also forced into the fray. Concurrently, Reath, the young Padawan, discovers a hyperspace-ready escape pod that takes him to actually a different planet which also has Drengir, where he actually finds out Daz, who is not dead, but was actually spirited away and tortured on that planet, which Drengir wanted to get some vital information from him. Together they escape and make it back to the station, where Reath sabotages the rest of the pods, practically rendering the station strategically useless to either party. Now the Jedi members, along with the crew members of the vessel, fight their way back to the ship and make their escape. Everybody's safe back to Coruscant. By the end of the book, Orla, the Jedi Wayseeker, actually fulfills on her promise and leaves the Jedi Order. She gets a ship, and she wants to explore the galaxy and find meaning through the Force in her own unique way. Affy and Leox fire criminal charges on their guild leader, and Reath is looking for a new master. He communicates with Comac, expressing his willingness to actually explore the galaxy as well, something he wasn't willing to do in the beginning of the book, and become a Jedi Knight. Now, let's talk about my impression of the book. I'd like to begin with the positives, which are plenty here. First and foremost, it's the characters of the book. They're the highlight of it. They're actually heart and soul of Into the Dark. If it wasn't for them, I don't think I would have possibly enjoyed the plot as much. Each and every one of them stands out. Reith is the main hero of the book. His whole journey through it is basically a metaphor for adolescence and coming of age and learning yourself and what your place is in the larger world. Orla, the female Jedi Master, is perhaps the most interesting character in this book. She's more akin to what, rightfully so, a lot of fans are calling the Grey Jedi. She is struggling between appeasing the Jedi Order or following in its footpath, but also listening to her own heart and realizing that sometimes what the Force is telling her and what the Jedi Order's dogmas are not one and the same. The young mechanic of the vessel, Affy, and the young girl that they meet on the station, Nan, are equally interesting character. They're both struggling with their own personal loyalties to their people. For example, Affy wants to do right by her guild, and when she senses that something is wrong and that actually the leader of the guild, her adopted mother, is doing something shady, she's not the one to stay quiet and protect her, but instead goes out of her way to actually find out the truth, no matter what. And same with Nan. Even when you find out that she is actually part of the Nile, there's something noble about her. You know, she kind of like reveals to the Jedi that, you know, this nobility and righteousness that they try to bring to this part of the galaxy has no meaning to her. She's been living a different kind of life, a harsh life, and she would probably do well without the Republic's or Jedi's help. It's an interesting and opposite perspective. Some interesting new Jedi powers are also on display in this book. As far as Jedi lore and Sith mysticism and magic is concerned, I maybe can remember something from old school Dark Horse comic books, The Tales of the Jedi, but nothing quite like this. So when the Jedi are interacting with these ancient god statues and they actually have to work together to concentrate on the Force to create this protective barrier, I thought it was quite interesting. And now we're getting to the most crucial part of the review. As I promised, let's talk about that rock, Geode. He is absolutely tongue-in-cheek. He's a comedic relief in the children's book. He's charming. And I think he absolutely works best because he never breaks character. Claudia Gray is an amazing author who does very layered characters from her Lost Stars books or Master and Apprentice. She writes her stories inside out, and it's always about the characters, and there's always depth to them. And he comes a piece of rock. You know, you never understand how he travels through the ship, how he has any feelings or motivations whatsoever. Sometimes he's one part of the ship, at another part he actually is part of a dashing rescue, but it all works well because Claudia Gray sets it up nicely and he sticks to it. She sticks to it no matter what. I think he's just a crazy gag in this story, and I absolutely loved him. And it makes me laugh when people make hour-long videos about him on YouTube and telling us, the fans, that, Star Wars is ruined because what is this stupid rock? And guys, it's a children's book. It's a young adult novel, and it's a piece of rock that just has so much personality. I would argue, actually, than more legit characters in other books. I loved him. And now let's talk about the negatives. Each new Star Wars book that I go into, I go with a completely open mind. I have zero expectations. I just kind of like to read about the premise of it and look forward to what it possibly may show. Now, I'm very familiar with Claudia Gray's work. I think she is perhaps the best new voice in Star Wars literature. I said, okay, cool. I'm looking forward to this. Let's check this book out. So the most major issue I have with it is the book's pacing. I felt that it dragged a little bit, and once again, the characters were amazing, but I felt that the story could wrap up a little quicker, and we just spent a little too much time on the station. And quite frankly, the concurrent story that was paralleled going with the main story, which is somewhat years in the back, about the younger Comac and Orla, I felt it wasn't really necessary to get all the messages the story wanted to across. I mean, all the characters function well. It comes to climatic battle at the end and meaningful ending, and all the characters go their separate pathways, but it just needed to be a little bit more compact. At least that's how I felt. And the second one I'd like to talk is about the Drengir, the plant life parasite new enemies or faction which are strong in the Force. Now, I understand it's a children's book, and my critique here is personal. This is what my personal takeaway. I just feel that they're not threatening. You know, once the Jedi realize what they have some kind of poisoning and spores that we see in separate comic books, and actually pose some kind of danger to the Jedi and their sensitivity in the Force. But this book doesn't get far enough to really feel like they're, oh my god, you know, the Drengir are a huge threat. Because once even the young Padawan Reith discovers who they are, they can dodge them easily in the station or provoke them or make the Drengir do what they want them to. Once again, I think it works for the book, and I think the children reading this book might get a few frights out of this and feel excited. How I personally feel about the book does not reflect its quality of writing, because I think the writing is stellar. The Drengir just didn't quite capture me. They didn't work for me as much. Now, let's get to the actual score, how I usually score my books on the scale from 1 to 4. It's a 3 for me. It's not a bad book. It's interesting. I understand that I'm biased, and I understand that it's my personal feelings reflecting the score. As far as Claudia Gray goes, I think she's an excellent writer, and I think that any fan of hers or people that have been enjoying High Republic so far should definitely check this book out and enjoy it. I enjoyed it myself. I thought all the characters were excellent, and it was absolutely worth reading. If you enjoyed this review and would like to pick up this book, I left a convenient link to Amazon Shop in the description below. Once again, thank you so much for checking out my channel, guys. I really appreciate your time and your support. Feel free to subscribe, leave a comment in the section below, let me know what other books you would like me to review, and I'll gladly address your requests. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you later.